None of the stories make any pretense at logic. They are dealing with states of mind rather than words. Unless this is understood, the point of the classic will be missed. The whole intent was to help the pupil break the shell of his limited mind and attain a second, eternal birth, Satori, enlightenment. Each problem is a barrier. Those who have the spirit of Zen pass through it. Those who live in Zen understand one koan after another, each in his own way, as if they were seeing the unseen and living in the illimitable. Zen masters used koans to stop their students' word drunkenness and mind wandering. When they had the student meditate on a koan, this was another way of saying, don't waste your life merely sensing. Channel thought and feeling to one purpose, and then let it happen. Has this art of turning on one's light been lost? It needn't be if you put your mind and all else you have to it. If the leaders of mankind were more aware, when by chance they come into minor powers, they might exploit others less. These old teachers complimented their students by criticism, blows even. When they praised, it usually meant belittling. This was the custom. They had a deep concern for their pupils, but showed it in presence, not words. They were strong fellows, shockers. They gave questions for which the only answer was one's whole being.
Good morning, beautiful.
What is the right answer to a koan? There are many right answers, and there are also none.
Free this weekend.
There is even a book in Japan, hard to come by, which gives proper answers to each of these mind openers. What a joke. For the koan itself is the answer. And by the time there is a right answer to it, Zen is dead. Mumon wrote the following words in his introduction to The Gateless Gate. Zen has no gates. The purpose of Buddha's words is to enlighten others. Therefore, Zen should be gateless. Now, how does one pass through this gateless gate? Some say that whatever enters through a gate is not family treasure. That whatever is produced by the help of another is likely to dissolve and perish. Even such words are like raising waves in a windless sea, or performing an operation upon a healthy body. If one clings to what others have said and tries to understand Zen by explanation, he is like a dunce who thinks he can beat the moon with a pole, or scratch an itching foot from the outside of a shoe. It will be impossible after all. In the year 1228, I was lecturing monks in the Ryusho Temple in eastern China, and at their request I retold old koans, endeavoring to inspire their Zen spirit. I meant to use the koans as a man who picks up a piece of brick to knock at a gate, and after the gate is opened, brick is useless and is thrown away. My notes, however, were collected unexpectedly, and there were 48 koans, together with my comment in prose and verse concerning each, although their arrangement was not in the order of the telling. I've called the book The Gateless Gate, wishing students to read it as a guide. If a reader is brave enough and goes straight forward in his meditation, no delusions can disturb him. He will become enlightened just as did the patriarchs in India and in China, probably even better. But if he hesitates one moment, he is as a person watching from a small window for a horseman to pass by, and in a wink, he has missed seeing. The great path has no gates. Thousands of roads enter it. When one passes through this gateless gate, he walks freely between heaven and earth. A monk asked Joshu, a Chinese Zen master, "Has a dog Buddha nature or not?" Joshu answered, "Moo." Mu is the negative symbol in Chinese meaning no thing or nay. Mumon's comment. To realize Zen, one has to pass through the barrier of the patriarchs. Enlightenment always comes after the road of thinking is blocked. If you do not pass the barrier of the patriarchs, or if your thinking road is not blocked, whatever you think, whatever you do, is like a tangling ghost. You may ask, what is a barrier of a patriarch? This one word, Mu, is it. This is the barrier of Zen. If you pass through it, you will see Joshu face to face. Then you can work hand in hand with the whole line of patriarchs. Is this not a pleasant thing to do? If you want to pass this barrier, you must work through every bone in your body, through every pore of your skin filled with this question, what is Mu? And carry it day and night. Do not believe it is the common negative symbol meaning nothing. It is not nothingness, the opposite of existence. If you really want to pass this barrier, you should feel like drinking a hot iron ball that you can neither swallow nor spit out. Then your previous lesser knowledge disappears. As a fruit ripening in season, your subjectivity and objectivity naturally become one. It is like a dumb man who has had a dream. He knows about it, but he cannot tell it. When he enters this condition, his ego shell is crushed, and he can shake the heaven and move the earth. He is like a great warrior with a sharp sword. If a Buddha stands in his way, he will cut him down. If a patriarch offers him any obstacle, he will kill him, and he will be free in his way of birth and death. He can enter any world as if it were his own playground. I will tell you how to do this with this koan. Just concentrate your whole energy into this Mu, and do not allow any discontinuation. When you enter this Mu and there is no discontinuation, your attainment will be as a candle burning and illuminating the whole universe. Has a dog Buddha nature? This is the most serious question of all. If you say yes or no, you lose your own Buddha nature.
Every 5 seconds, someone's identity is stolen. That means since you started this video, another person became a victim. With LifeLock, you don't have to stress. It monitors for threats and alerts you of suspicious activity with expert support if identity theft does happen. Give yourself the peace of mind you deserve. Identity theft protection doesn't get better than this. Get LifeLock today.
Once when Hyakujo delivered some Zen lectures, an old man attended them, unseen by the monks. At the end of each talk, when the monks left, so did he. But one day he remained after they had gone, and Hyakujo asked him, "Who are you?" The old man replied, "I am not a human being, but I was a human being when the Kashyapa Buddha preached in this world. I was a Zen master and lived on this mountain. At that time, one of my students asked me whether or not the enlightened man is subject to the law of causation. I answered him, the enlightened man is not subject to the law of causation. For this answer evidencing a clinging to absoluteness, I became a fox for 500 rebirths, and I am still a fox. Will you save me from this condition with your Zen words and let me get out of a fox's body? Now may I ask you, is the enlightened man subject to the law of causation?" Hyakujo said, "The enlightened man is one with the law of causation." At the words of Hyakujo, Hyakujo the old man was enlightened. I am emancipated, he said, paying homage with a deep bow. I am no more a fox, but I have to leave my body in my dwelling place behind this mountain. Please perform my funeral as a monk. Then he disappeared. The next day, Hyakujo gave an order through the chief monk to prepare to attend the funeral of a monk. No one was sick in the infirmary, wondered the monks. What does our teacher mean? After dinner, Hyakujo led the monks out and around the mountain. In a cave with his staff, he poked out the corpse of an old fox, and then performed the ceremony of cremation. That evening, Hyakujo gave a talk to the monks and told them this story about the law of causation. Obaku, upon hearing the story, asked Hyakujo, I understand that a long time ago, because a certain person gave a wrong Zen answer, he became a fox for 500 rebirths. Now I want to ask, if some modern master is asked many questions and he always gives the right answer, what will become of him? Hyakujo said, You come here near me and I will tell you. Obaku went near Hyakujo and slapped the teacher's face with his hand, for he knew this was the answer his teacher intended to give him. Hyakujo clapped his hands and laughed at this discernment. I thought a Persian had a red beard, he said, and now I know a Persian who has a red beard. Mumon's comment. The enlightened man is not subject. How can this answer make the monk a fox? The enlightened man is one with the law of causation. How can this answer make the fox emancipated? To understand this clearly, one has to have just one eye. Controlled or not controlled. The same dice shows two faces. Not controlled or controlled, both are a grievous error. Gute raised his finger whenever he was asked a question about Zen. A boy attendant began to imitate him in this way. When anyone asked the boy what his master had preached about, the boy would raise his finger. Gute heard about the boy's mischief. He seized him and cut off his finger. The boy cried and ran away. Gute called and stopped him. When the boy turned his head to Gute, Gute raised up his own finger. In that instant, the boy was enlightened. When Gute was about to pass from this world, he gathered his monks around him. I attained my finger Zen, he said, from my teacher, Tenryu, and in my whole life, I could not exhaust it. Then he passed away. Mumon's comment. Enlightenment, which Gute and the boy attained, has nothing to do with the finger. If anyone clings to a finger, Tenryu will be so disappointed that he will annihilate Gute, the boy, and the clinger altogether. Gute cheapens the teaching of Tenryu, emancipating the boy with a knife. Compared to the Chinese god who pushed aside a mountain with one hand, old Gute is a poor imitator. Kyogen said, Zen is like a man hanging in a tree by his teeth over a precipice. His hands grasp no branch, his feet rest on no limb, and under the tree another person asks him, why did Bodhidharma come to China from India? If the man in the tree does not answer, he fails. And if he does answer, he falls and loses his life. Now what shall he do? Mumon's comment. In such a predicament, the most talented eloquence is of no use. If you have memorized all the sutras, you cannot use them. When you can give the right answer, even though your past road was one of death, you open up a new road of life. But if you cannot answer, you should live ages hence and ask the future Buddha Maitreya. Kyogen is truly a fool. spreading that ego-killing poison that closes his pupils' mouths and lets their tears stream from their dead eyes. A monk told Joshu, "I have just entered the monastery. Please teach me." Joshu asked, "Have you eaten your rice porridge?" The monk replied, "I have eaten." Joshu said, "Then you had better wash your bowl." At that moment, the monk was enlightened. Mumon's comment, "Joshu is the man who opens his mouth and shows his heart." I doubt if this monk really saw Joshu's heart. I hope he did not mistake the bell for a pitcher. It is too clear, and so it is hard to see. A dunce once searched for a fire with a lighted lantern. Had he known what fire was, he would have cooked his rice much sooner. Getsuan said to his students, "Keichu, the first wheel maker of China, made 2 wheels of 50 spokes each. Now suppose you removed the nave uniting the spokes. What would become of the wheel? And had Keichu done this, could he be called the master wheel maker?" Mumon's comment, "If anyone can answer this question instantly, his eyes will be like a comet and his mind like a flash of lightning. When the hubless wheel turns, master or no master can stop it. It turns above heaven and below earth, south, north, east, and west." A monk asked Seijo, "I understand the Buddha who lived before recorded history sat in meditation for 10 cycles of existence and could not realize the highest truth, and so could not become fully emancipated. Why was this so?" Seijo replied, "Your question is self-explanatory." The monk asked, "Since the Buddha was meditating, why could he not fulfill Buddhahood?" Seijo said, "He was not a Buddha." Mumon's comment, "I will allow his realization, but I will not admit his understanding. When one ignorant attains realization, he is a saint. When a saint begins to understand, he is ignorant. It is better to realize mind than body. When mind is realized, one need not worry about body. When mind and body become one, the man is free. Then he desires no praising." Joshu went to a place where a monk had retired to meditate and asked him, "What is what?" The monk raised his fist. Joshu replied, "Ships cannot remain where the water is too shallow," and he left. A few days later, Joshu went again to visit the monk and asked the same question. The monk answered the same way. Joshu said, "Well given, well taken, well killed, well saved," and he bowed to the monk. Mumon's comment, "The raised fist was the same both times. Why is it Joshu did not admit the first and approved the second one? Where is the fault?" Whoever answers this knows that Joshu's tongue has no bone, so he can use it freely. Yet perhaps Joshu is wrong, or through that monk he may have discovered his mistake. If anyone thinks that the one's insight exceeds the other's, he has no eyes. The light of the eyes is as a comet, and Zen's activity is as lightning.
Amazing! Unbelievable! Amazing! Unbelievable! Good. Amazing!
Block Blast Puzzle Games! Play now!
Ten out of 10 friends say you have to go to that new place, which you have zero time for. Fortunately, DoorDash knows all your neighborhood hotspots. Shake up your dinner routine. Order with DoorDash.
The sword that kills the man is the sword that saves the man. Tokusan went to the dining room from the meditation hall holding his bowl. Seppo was on duty cooking. When he met Tokusan, he said, "The dinner drum is not yet beaten. Where are you going with your bowl?" So Tokusan returned to his room. Seppo told Ganto about this. Ganto said, "Old Tokusan did not understand ultimate truth." Tokusan heard of this remark and asked Ganto to come to him. "I have heard," he said, "you are not approving my Zen." Ganto admitted this indirectly. Tokusan said nothing. The next day, Tokusan delivered an entirely different kind of lecture to the monks. Ganto laughed and clapped his hands, saying, "I see our old man understands ultimate truth indeed. None in China can surpass him." Mumon's comment. Speaking about ultimate truth, both Ganto and Tokusan did not even dream it. After all, they are dummies. Whoever understands the first truth should understand the ultimate truth. The last and first, are they not the same? Nansen saw the monks of the eastern and western halls fighting over a cat. He seized the cat and told the monks, "If any of you say a good word, you can save the cat." No one answered, so Nansen boldly cut the cat in 2 pieces. That evening, Joshu returned and Nansen told him about this. Joshu removed his sandals and placing them on his head, walked out. Nansen said, "If you had been there, you could have saved the cat." Mumon's comment. Why did Joshu put his sandals on his head? If anyone answers this question, he will understand exactly how Nansen enforced the edict.
Make it real.
If
the
not,
National
he
Guard
should
and
watch his own
Democrats
head.
and the police. If Democrats won't let the
Had
police
Joshua
arrest
been there,
aliens, then
He
arrest
would
the
have enforced
Democrats.
the edict
Either it's for
oppositely.
real or it's all
Joshu
just so.
snatches the sword, and Nansen begs for his life. Tozan went to Umon. Umon asked him where he had come from. Tozan said, "From Seto village." Umon asked, "In what temple did you remain for the summer?" Tozan replied, "The temple of Hoji, south of the lake." "When did you leave there?" asked Umon, wondering how long Tozan would continue with such factual answers. "The 25th of August, answered Tozan. Umon said, "I should give you 3 blows with a stick, but today I forgive you." The next day, Tozan bowed to Umon and asked, "Yesterday you forgave me 3 blows. I do not know why you thought me wrong." Umon, rebuking Tozan's spiritless responses, said, "You are good for nothing. You simply wander from one monastery to another." Before Umon's words were ended, Tozan was enlightened. Umon's comment. Umon fed Tozan good Zen food. If Tozan can digest it, Umon may add another member to his family. In the evening, Tozan swam around in a sea of good and bad.
Because
But at
they
dawn,
will
Umon
stop
crushed his
saying that
nutshell. After all, he wasn't so smart. Now I want to ask, did
In
Tozan
secret,
deserve the 3
they-
blows? If you say yes, not only Tozan, but every one of you deserves them. If you say no, Umon is speaking a lie. If you answer this question clearly, you can eat the same food as Tozan. The lioness teaches her cubs roughly. The cubs jump and she knocks them down. When Umon saw Tozan,
Remember everything
his
in
first arrow was light. His second arrow shot deep. Umon asked, "The world is such a wide world. Why do you answer a bell and don ceremonial robes?" Umon's comment, "When one studies Zen, one need not
We can do
follow
all
sound or
things and
color
cry.
or form. Even though some have attained insight when hearing a voice, seeing a color or a form, this is a very common way. It is not true Zen. The real Zen student controls sound, color, form, and actualizes the truth in his everyday life. Sound comes to the ear. The ear goes to sound. When you blot out sound and sense, what do you understand? While listening with ears, one never can understand. To understand intimately, one should see sound. When you understand, you belong to the family. When you do not understand, you are a stranger. Those who do not understand belong to the family. And when they understand, they are strangers. A monk asked Tozan when he was weighing some flax, "What is Buddha?" Tozan said, "This flax weighs 3 pounds." Mumon's comment, "Old Tozan Zen is like a clam. The minute the shell opens, you see the whole inside. However, I want to ask you, do you see the real Tozan? 3 pounds of flax in front of your nose, close enough, and mind is still closer. Whoever talks about affirmation and negation lives in the right and wrong region." Joshu asked Nansen, "What is the path?" Nansen said, "Everyday life is the path." Joshu asked, "Can it be studied?" Nansen said, "If you try to study, you will be far away from it." Joshu asked, "If I do not study, how can I know it is the path?" Nansen said, "The path does not belong to the perception world. Neither does it belong to the non-perception world. Cognition is a delusion, and non-cognition is senseless. If you want to reach the true path beyond doubt, place yourself in the same freedom as sky. You name it neither good nor not good." At these words, Joshu was enlightened. Mumon's comment, Nansen could melt Joshu's frozen doubts at once when Joshu asked his questions. I doubt, though, if Joshu reached the point that Nansen did. He needed 30 more years of study. hundreds of flowers. In autumn, a harvest moon. In summer, a refreshing breeze. In winter, snow will accompany you. If useless things do not hang in your mind, any season is a good season for you. When he became emancipated, received from the fifth patriarch the bowl and robe given from the Buddha to his successors, generation after generation. A monk named Imyo, out of envy, pursued the patriarch to take this great treasure away from him. The sixth patriarch placed the bowl and robe on a stone in the road and told Imyo, "These objects just symbolize the faith. There's no use fighting over them. If you desire to take them now."
Barack Obama is the liar,
Emilio
fraud,
went to move
and
the bowl and robe. They were as
misinformation.
heavy as
Sometimes
mountains.
others are. All
He could
projection,
not
all
budge
lies,
them.
a faggot all the time.
Trembling for
The CIA
shame, he
puppet
said,
created 16
"I
trillion
came
debt
wanting
tickets.
to
If you
teach
risk
you,
home,
not
be
the
sure
material
arrest this
treasures.
faggot.
Please teach me." The sixth
Obama.
patriarch said, "When you do not think good, and when you do not think not good, what is your true self?" At these words, Emilio was illumined. Perspiration
He is
broke
a
out all
faggot.
over his body. He cried and bowed, saying, "You have given me the secret words and meanings."
X's has to verify I'm a human.
The sixth
Can't call
patriarch
Obama a
replied,
faggot.
"What I have told you is no secret at all. When you realize your own true self, the secret belongs to you." Emio said, "I was under the fifth patriarch many years, but could not realize my true self until now. Through your teaching, I find the source. A person drinks water and knows himself whether it is cold or warm. May I call you my teacher?" The sixth patriarch replied, "We studied together under the
Barack
fifth
Obama is
patriarch,
the liar, fraud, and
Call him
misinformation
your
as he
teacher.
claims others are.
but just
All
treasure what you have
projection, all
attained."
lies, a faggot all the time.
Woman's
CIA
comment.
puppet who created 16 trillion in
The
debt
sixth
taxes.
patriarch certainly
After
was
his time,
kind in
he
such an
should have
emergency.
listed faggot Obama.
It was as if he removed the skin and seeds from the fruit, and then, opening the pupil's mouth, let him eat.
He is a faggot.
Picture it. You cannot admire it. You cannot sense it. It is your true self. It has nowhere to hide. When the world is destroyed, it will not be destroyed. A monk asked Fuketsu, "Without speaking, without silence, how can you express the truth?" Fuketsu observed, "I always remember springtime in southern China. The birds sing among innumerable kinds of fragrant flowers." Mumon's comment. Fuketsu being Zen. Whenever he had the opportunity, he flashed it. But this time he failed to do so and only borrowed from an old Chinese poem. Never mind Fuketsu Zen. If you want to express the truth, throw out your words, throw out your silence, and tell me about your own Zen. Without revealing his own penetration, he offered another's words, not his to give. Had he chattered on and on, even his listeners would have been embarrassed. In a dream, Kyozan went to Maitreya's Pure Land. He recognized himself seated in the third seat in the abode of Maitreya. Someone announced, "Today the one who sits in the third seat will preach." Kyozan arose and, hitting the gavel, said, "The truth of Mahayana teaching is transcendent, above words and thought. Do you understand?" Mumon's comment. "I want to ask you, monks, did he preach or did he not? When he opens his mouth, he is lost. If he does not feel it, he is 108,000 miles from truth. In the light of day, yet in a dream, he talks of a dream. a monster among monsters. He intended to deceive the whole crowd. Hogan of Seiryo Monastery was about to lecture before dinner when he noticed that the bamboo screen lowered for meditation had not been rolled up. He pointed to it. 2 monks arose from the audience and rolled it up. Hogan, observing the physical moment, said, "The state of the first monk is good, not that of the other." Mumon's comment: "I want to ask you, which of those 2 monks gained and which lost? If any of you has one eye, he will see the failure on the teacher's part. However, I'm not discussing gain and loss." When the screen is rolled up, the great sky opens. Yet the sky is not attuned to Zen. It is best to forget the great sky and to retire from every wind. A monk asked Nansen, "Is there a teaching no master ever preached before?" Nansen said, "Yes, there is." "What is it?" asked the monk. Nansen replied, "It is not mind, it is not Buddha, it is not things." Mumon's comment: "Old Nansen gave away his treasure words. He must have been greatly upset." Nansen was too kind and lost his treasure. Truly, words have no power. Even though the mountain becomes the sea, words cannot open another's mind. Tokusan was studying Zen under Ryutan. One night he came to Ryutan and asked many questions. The teacher said, "The night is getting old. Why don't you retire?" So Tokusan bowed and opened the screen to go out, observing, "It is very dark outside." Ryutan offered Tokusan a lighted candle to find his way. Just as Tokusan received it, Ryutan blew it out. At that moment, the mind of Tokusan was opened. "What have you attained?" asked Ryutan. "From now on," said Tokusan, "I will not doubt the teacher's words." The next day, Ryutan told the monks at his lecture, "I see one monk among you. His teeth are like the sword tree. His mouth is like the blood bowl. If you hit him hard with a big stick, he will not even so much as look back at you. Someday he will mount the highest peak and carry my teaching there." On that day, in front of the lecture hall, Tokusan burned to ashes his commentaries on the sutras. However abstruse the teachings are, in comparison with this enlightenment, they are like a single hair to the great sky. However profound the complicated knowledge of the world, compared to this enlightenment, it is like one drop of water to the great ocean. Then he left that monastery. Mumon's comment: when Tokusan was in his own country, he was not satisfied with Zen, although he had heard about it. He thought, "Those southern monks say they can teach Dharma outside of the sutras. They are all wrong. I must teach them." So he traveled south. He happened to stop near Ryutan's monastery for refreshments. An old woman who was there asked him, "What are you carrying so heavily?" Tokusan replied, "This is a commentary I have made on the Diamond Sutra after many years of work." The old woman said, "I read that sutra which says, the past mind cannot be held, the present mind cannot be held, the future mind cannot be held. You wish some tea and refreshments? Which mind do you propose to use for them?" Tokusan was as though dumb. Finally he asked the woman, "Do you know of any good teacher around here?" The old woman referred him to Ryutan, not more than 5 miles away. So he went to Ryutan in all humility, quite different from when he had started his journey. Ryutan in turn was so kind he forgot his own dignity. It was like pouring muddy water over a drunken man to sober him. After all, it was an unnecessary comedy. 100 hearings cannot surpass one seeing. But after you see the teacher, that one glance cannot surpass 100 hearings. His nose was very high, but he was blind after all.
This helps me pay for my bills. Sign up directly on the app. Choose your own hours. Get paid to deliver on your time. There are opportunities in over 7,000 cities. Keep 100% of your tips. Download the DoorDash driver app and get started today.
Two monks were arguing about a flag. One said, "The flag is moving." The other said, "The wind is moving." The sixth patriarch happened to be passing by. He told them, "Not the wind, not the flag. Mind is moving." Mumon's comment. The sixth patriarch said, "The wind is not moving, the flag is not moving, mind is moving." What did he mean? If you understand this intimately, you will see the two monks there trying to buy iron and gaining gold. The sixth patriarch could not bear to see those two dull heads, so he made such a bargain. Wind, flag, mind moves. Same understanding. When the mouth opens, all are wrong. Daibai asked Baso, "What is Buddha?" Baso said, "This mind is Buddha." Mumon's comment. If anyone fully understands this, he is wearing Buddha's clothing. He is eating Buddha's food. He is speaking Buddha's words. He is behaving as Buddha. He is Buddha. This anecdote, however, has given many a pupil the sickness of formality. If one truly understands, he will wash out his mouth for 3 days after saying the word Buddha, and he will close his ears and flee after hearing the mind is Buddha. Under blue sky in bright sunlight, one need not search around, asking what pockets and declaring oneself innocent. A traveling monk asked an old woman the road to Taizan, a popular temple supposed to give wisdom to the one who worships there. The old woman said, "Go straight ahead." When the monk proceeded a few steps, she said to herself, "He also is a common churchgoer." Someone told this incident to Joshu, who said, "Wait until I investigate." The next day he went and asked the same question, and the old woman gave the same answer. Joshu remarked, "I have investigated that old woman." Mumon's comment. The old woman understood how war is planned, but she did not know how spies sneak in behind her tent. Old Joshu played the spy's work and turned the tables on her, but he was not an able general. Both had their faults. Now I want to ask you, what was the point of Joshu's investigating the old woman? When the question is common, the answer is also common. When the question is sand in a bowl of boiled rice, the answer is a stick in the soft mud. A philosopher asked Buddha, "Without words, without the wordless, will you tell me truth?" The Buddha kept silence. The philosopher bowed and thanked the Buddha, saying, "I have cleared away my delusions and entered the true path." After the philosopher had gone, Ananda asked the Buddha what he had attained. The Buddha replied, "A good horse runs even at the shadow of the whip." Mumon's comment. Ananda was the disciple of the Buddha. Even so, his opinion did not surpass that of outsiders. I want to ask you monks, how much difference is there between disciples and outsiders? To tread the sharp edge of a sword, to run on smooth frozen ice, one needs no footsteps to follow. Walk over the cliff with hands free. A monk asked Baso, "What is Buddha?" Baso said, "This mind is not Buddha." Mumon's comment, "If anyone understands this, he is a graduate of Zen." If you meet a fencing master on the road, you may give him your sword. If you meet a poet, you may offer him your poem. When you meet others, say only a part of what you intend. Never give the whole thing at once. Nansen said, "Mind is not Buddha. Learning is not the path." Mumon's comment, Nansen was getting old and forgot to be ashamed. He spoke out with bad breath and exposed the scandal of his own home. However, there are few who appreciate his kindness. When the sky is clear, the sun appears. When the earth is parched, rain will fall. He opened his heart fully and spoke out, but it was useless to talk to pigs and fish. Seijo, the Chinese girl, observed Goso, had two souls, one always sick at home and the other in the city, a married woman with two children. Which was the true soul? Mumon's comment, when one understands this, he will know it is possible to come out from one shell and enter another, as if one were stopping at a transient lodging house. But if he cannot understand, when his time comes and his four elements separate, he will be just like a crab dipped in boiling water, struggling with many hands and legs. In such a predicament he may say, "Mumon did not tell me where to go," but it will be too late then. The moon above the clouds is the same moon. The mountains and rivers below are all different. Each is happy in its unity and variety. This is one, this is two. Goso said, when you meet a Zen master on the road, you cannot talk to him, you cannot face him with silence. What are you going to do? Mumon's comment, in such a case, if you can answer him intimately, your realization will be beautiful. But if you cannot, you should look about without seeing anything. Meeting a Zen master on the road, face him neither with words nor silence. Give him an uppercut, and you will be called one who understands Zen. Gozo said, when a buffalo goes out of his enclosure to the edge of the abyss, his horns and his head and his hoofs all pass through. But why can't the tail also pass? Mumon's comment, if anyone can open one eye at this point and say a word of Zen, he is qualified to repay the four gratifications. And not only that, he can save all sentient beings under him. But if he cannot say such a word of true Zen, he should turn back his tail.
Excellent.
10 out of 10 friends say you have to go to that wing place, and that pizza shop, and that noodle spot, which you have time for 0 out of 10 nights. Fortunately, DoorDash knows all your neighborhood hotspots, so you can always get the best of what's around. We wish you the best of luck with that. Shake up your dinner routine. Order with DoorDash.
If the buffalo runs, he will fall into the trench. If he returns, he will be butchered. That little tail is a very strange thing. A monk asked Joshu why Bodhidharma came to China. Joshu said, an oak tree in the garden. Mumon's comment. If one sees Joshu's answer clearly, there is no Shakyamuni Buddha before him and no future Buddha after him. Words cannot describe everything. The heart's message cannot be delivered in words. If one receives words literally, he will be lost. If he tries to explain with words, he will not attain enlightenment in this life. Hyakujo wished to send a monk to open a new monastery. He told his pupils that whoever answered a question most ably would be appointed. Placing a water vase on the ground, he asked, "Who can say what this is without calling its name?" The chief monk said, "No one can call it a wooden shoe." Isan, the cooking monk, tipped over the vase with his foot and went out. Hyakujo smiled and said, "The chief monk loses," and Isan became the master of the new monastery. Mumon's comment. Isan was brave enough, but he could not escape Hyakujo's trick. After all, he gave up a light job and took a heavy one. Why can't you see he took off his comfortable hat and placed himself in iron stocks? Giving up cooking utensils, defeating the chatterbox. Though his teacher sets a barrier for him, his feet will tip over everything, even the Buddha. Bodhidharma sits facing the wall. His future successor stands in the snow and presents his severed arm to Bodhidharma. He cries, "My mind is not pacified. Master, pacify my mind." Bodhidharma says, "If you bring me that mind, I will pacify it for you." The successor says, "When I search my mind, I cannot hold it." Bodhidharma says, "Then your mind is pacified already." Mumon's comment. That broken-toothed old Hindu, Bodhidharma, came thousands of miles over the sea from India to China as if he had something wonderful. He's like raising waves without wind. After he remained years in China, he had only one disciple, and that one lost his arm and was deformed. Alas, ever since he has had brainless disciples. Why did Bodhidharma come to China? For years, monks have discussed this. All the troubles that have followed since came from that teacher and disciple. In the time of Buddha Shakyamuni, Manjushri went to the assemblage of the Buddhas. When he arrived there, the conference was over, and each Buddha had returned to his own Buddha land. Only one girl was yet unmoved in deep meditation. Manjushri asked Buddha Shakyamuni how it was possible for this girl to reach this state, one which even he could not attain. "Bring her out from Samadhi and ask her yourself," said the Buddha. Manjushri walked around the girl 3 times and snapped his fingers. She still remained in meditation. So by his miracle power, he transported her to a high heaven and tried his best to call her, but in vain. Buddha Shakyamuni said even 100,000 Manjushris could not disturb her. But below this place, past 1,200 million countries, is a bodhisattva, Momyo, seed of delusion. If he comes here, she will awaken. No sooner had the Buddha spoken than that bodhisattva sprang up from the earth and bowed and paid homage to the Buddha. Buddha directed him to arouse the girl. The bodhisattva went in front of the girl and snapped his fingers, and in that instant, the girl came out of her deep meditation. Mumon's comment. Old Shakyamuni set a very poor stage. I want to ask you, monks, if Manjushri, who is supposed to have been the teacher of 7 Buddhas, could not bring this girl out of meditation, how then could a bodhisattva who was a mere beginner? If you understand this intimately, you yourself can enter the great meditation while you are living in the world of delusion. One could not awaken her, the other could. Neither are good actors. One wears the mask of God, one a devil's mask. Had both failed, the drama still would be a comedy. Shuzan held out his short staff and said, "If you call this a short staff, you oppose its reality. If you do not call it a short staff, you ignore the fact. Now what do you wish to call this?" Mumon's comment. If you call this a short staff, you oppose its reality. If you do not call it a short staff, you ignore the fact. It cannot be expressed with words, and it cannot be expressed without words. Now say quickly what it is. Holding out the short staff, he gave an order of life or death. Positive and negative interwoven. Even Buddhas and patriarchs cannot escape this attack. Basho said to his disciple, "When you have a staff, I will give it to you. If you have no staff, I will take it away from you." Mumon's comment. When there is no bridge over the creek, the staff will help me. When I return home on a moonless night, the staff will accompany me. But if you call this a staff, you will enter hell like an arrow. With this staff in my hand, I can measure the depths and shallows of the world. The staff supports the heavens and makes firm the earth. Everywhere it goes, the true teaching will be spread. Hoen said, "The past and future Buddhas both are his servants. Who is he?" Mumon's comment. If you realize clearly who he is, it is as if you met your own father on a busy street. There is no need to ask anyone whether or not your recognition is true. Do not fight with another's bow and arrow. Do not ride another's horse. Do not discuss another's faults. Do not interfere with another's work. Sekiso asked, "How can you proceed on from the top of a 100-foot pole?" Another Zen teacher said, "One who sits on the top of a 100-foot pole has attained a certain height, but still is not handling Zen freely. He should proceed on from there and appear with his whole body in the 10 parts of the world." Mumon's comment. One can continue his steps or turn his body freely about on the top of the pole. In either case, he should be respected. I want to ask you monks, however, how will you proceed from the top of that pole? Look out.
To solve it, you want to get every single color on every single side. Now this may sound incredibly simple, but it's actually extremely difficult. So, do you think you could solve it?
Domino's Best Deal Ever is back because we know you love to get the most out of your pizza by getting the most on your pizza. Get any hand-tossed pan thin crust or New York style pizza with any toppings for just $9.99 online. Get extra without paying extra for $9.99 at Domino's.
The man who lacks the third eye of insight will cling to the measure of the 100 feet. Such a man will jump from there and kill himself, like a blind man misleading other blind men. Tosotsu built 3 barriers and made the monks pass through them. The first barrier is studying Zen. In studying Zen, the aim is to see one's own true nature. Now, where is your true nature? Secondly, when one realizes his own true nature, he will be free from birth and death. Now, when you shut the light from your eyes and become a corpse, how can you free yourself? Thirdly, if you free yourself from birth and death, you should know where you are. Now your body separates into the 4 elements. Where are you? Mumon's comment: whoever can pass these 3 barriers will be a master wherever he stands. Whatever happens about him, he will turn into Zen. Otherwise, he will be living on poor food, and not even enough of that to satisfy himself. An instant realization sees endless time. Endless time is as one moment. When one comprehends the endless moment, he realizes the person who is seeing it. A Zen pupil asked Kenbo, all Buddhas of the 10 parts of the universe enter the one road of nirvana. Where does that road begin? Kenbo, raising his walking stick and drawing the figure 1 in the air, said, here it is. This pupil went to Umon and asked the same question. Umon, who happened to have a fan in his hand, said, this fan will reach to the 33rd heaven and hit the nose of the presiding deity there. It is like the dragon carp of the eastern sea, tipping over the rain cloud with his tail. Mumon's comment: one teacher enters the deep sea and scratches the earth and raises dust. The other goes to the mountain and raises waves that almost touch heaven. One holds, the other gives out. Each support the profound teaching with a single hand. Kenbo and Umon are like 2 riders, neither of whom can surpass the other. It is very difficult to find the perfect man. Frankly, neither of them know where the road starts. Before the first step is taken, the goal is reached. Before the tongue is moved, the speech is finished. More than brilliant intuition is needed to find the origin of the right road. Amban, a layman Zen student, said, Mumon has just published 48 koans and called the book Gateless Gate. He criticizes the old patriarch's words and actions. I think he is very mischievous. He is like an old donut seller trying to catch a passerby to force his donuts down his mouth. The customer can neither swallow nor spit out the donuts, and this causes suffering. Mumon has annoyed everyone enough, so I think I shall add 1 more as a bargain. I wonder if he himself can eat this bargain. If he can and digest it well, it will be fine. But if not, we will have to put it back into the frying pan with his 48 also and cook them again. Mumon, you eat first before someone else does. Buddha, according to a sutra, once said, stop, stop. Do not speak. The ultimate truth is not even to think. Amban's comment: where did that so-called teaching come from? How is it that one could not even think it? Suppose someone spoke about it, then what became of it? Buddha himself was a great chatterbox, and in this sutra spoke contrarily. Because of this, persons like Mumon appear afterwards in China and make useless donuts, annoying people. What shall we do after all? I will show you. Then Amban put his palms together, folded his hands, and said, "Stop, stop, do not speak. The ultimate truth is not even to think. And now I will make a little circle on the sutra with my finger, and add that 5,000 other sutras and Vimalakirti's gateless gate are all here. If anyone tells you fire is light, pay no attention. When two thieves meet, they need no introduction. They recognize each other without question. Nan-in, a Japanese master during the Meiji era, received a university professor who came to inquire about Zen. Nan-in served tea. He poured his visitor's cup full, then kept on pouring. The professor watched the overflow until he no longer could restrain himself. "It is overfull, no more will go in." "Like this cup," Nan-in said. "You are full of your own opinions and speculations. How can I show you Zen unless you first empty your cup?" Gudo was the emperor's teacher of his time. Nevertheless, he used to travel alone as a wandering mendicant. Once when he was on his way to Edo, the cultural and political center of the shogunate, he approached a little village named Takenaka. It was evening and a heavy rain was falling. Gudo was thoroughly wet. His straw sandals were in pieces. At a farmhouse near the village, he noticed 4 or 5 pairs of sandals in the window and decided to buy some dry ones.
To stay ahead of the competition, you need to optimize your supply chain of key deliverables, like noodles. That's why you need EasyCater, a mission-critical all-in-one tech platform for ordering food for work.
Get started at EasyCater.
Some dry ones. The woman who offered him the sandals, seeing how wet he was, invited him to remain for the night in her home. Gudo accepted, thanking her. He entered and recited a sutra before the family shrine. He then was introduced to the woman's mother and to her children. Observing that the entire family was depressed, Gudo asked, what was wrong? "My husband is a gambler and a drunkard," the housewife told him. "When he happens to win, he drinks and becomes abusive. When he loses, he borrows money from others. Sometimes when he becomes thoroughly drunk, he does not come home at all. What can I do?" "I will help him," said Gudo. "Here is some money. Get me a gallon of fine wine and something good to eat. Then you may retire. I will meditate before the shrine." When the man of the house returned about midnight, quite drunk, he bellowed, "Hey, wife, I'm home. Have you something for me to eat?" "I have something for you," said Gudo. "I happened to be caught in the rain, and your wife kindly asked me to remain here for the night. In return, I have bought some wine and fish, so you might as well have them." The man was delighted. He drank the wine at once and laid himself down on the floor. Gudo sat in meditation beside him. In the morning, when the husband awoke, he had forgotten about the previous night. "Who are you? Where do you come from?" he asked Gudo, who still was meditating. "I am Gudo of Kyoto, and I am going on to Edo," replied the Zen master. The man was utterly ashamed. He apologized profusely to the teacher of his emperor. Gudo smiled. "Everything in this life is impermanent," he explained. "Life is very brief. If you keep on gambling and drinking, you will have no time left to accomplish anything else, and you will cause your family to suffer too." The perception of the husband awoke as if from a dream. "You are right," he declared. "How can I ever repay you for this wonderful teaching? Let me see you off and carry your things a little way." "If you wish," assented Gudo. The two started out. After they had gone 3 miles, Gudo told him to return. "Just another 5 miles, he begged Gudo. They continue on. "You may return now," suggested Gudo. Another 10 miles, the man replied. Return now, said Kudo when the 10 miles had been passed. I'm going to follow you all the rest of my life, declared the man. Modern Zen teachers in Japan spring from the lineage of a famous master who was the successor of Gudo. His name was Munan, the man who never turned back. The Zen master Hakuin was praised by his neighbors as one living a pure life. A beautiful Japanese girl whose parents owned a food store lived near him. Suddenly, without any warning, her parents discovered she was with child. This made her parents angry. She would not confess who the man was, but after much harassment, at last named Hakuin. In great anger, the parents went to the master. Is that so? Was all he would say. After the child was born, it was brought to Hakuin. By this time he had lost his reputation, which did not trouble him. But he took very good care of the child. He obtained milk from his neighbors and everything else the little one needed. A year later, the girl mother could stand it no longer. She told her parents the truth, that the real father of the child was a young man who worked in the fish market. The mother and father of the girl at once went to Hakuin to ask his forgiveness, to apologize at length, and to get the child back again. Hakuin was willing. In yielding the child, all he said was, "Is that so?" The Master Bankei's talks were attended not only by Zen students, but by persons of all ranks and sects. He never quoted sutras, nor indulged in scholastic dissertations. Instead, his words were spoken directly from his heart to the hearts of his listeners. His large audiences angered a priest of the Nichiren sect because the adherents had left to hear about Zen. The self-centered Nichiren priest came to the temple, determined to debate with Bankei. "A Zen teacher," he called out, "wait a minute. Whoever respects you will obey what you say, but a man like myself does not respect you. Can you make me obey you?" "Come up beside me and I will show you," said Bankei. Proudly, the priest pushed his way through the crowd to the teacher. Bankei smiled. "Come over to my left side." The priest obeyed. "No," said Bankei, "we may talk better if you are on the right side. Step over here." The priest proudly stepped over to the right. "You see," observed Bankei, "you are obeying me, and I think you are a very gentle person. Now sit down and listen." Monks and one nun who was named Ishun were practicing meditation with a certain Zen master. Ishun was very pretty, even though her head was shaved and her dress plain. Several monks secretly fell in love with her. One of them wrote her a love letter, insisting upon a private meeting. Ishun did not reply. The following day, the master gave a lecture to the group, and when it was over, Ishun arose. Addressing the one who had written her, she said, "If you really love me so much, come and embrace me now." There was an old woman in China who had supported a monk for over 20 years. She had built a little hut for him and fed him while he was meditating. Finally, she wondered just what progress he had made in all this time. To find out, she obtained the help of a girl rich in desire. "Go and embrace him," she told her, and then asked him suddenly, "What now?" The girl called upon the monk, and without much ado caressed him, asking him what he was going to do about it. "An old tree grows on a cold rock in winter," replied the monk somewhat poetically. "Nowhere is there any warmth." The girl returned and related what he had said. "To think I fed that fellow for 20 years, exclaimed the old woman in anger. "He showed no consideration for your need, no disposition to explain your condition. He need not have responded to passion, but at least he should have evidenced some compassion." She at once went to the hut of the monk and burned it down. In the early days of the Meiji era, there lived a well-known wrestler called Onami, Great Waves. Onami was immensely strong and knew the art of wrestling. In his private bouts, he defeated even his teacher, but in public he was so bashful that his own pupils threw him. Onami felt he should go to a Zen master for help. Hakuju, a wandering teacher, was stopping in a little temple nearby, so Onami went to see him and told him of his great trouble. Great Waves is your name, the teacher advised. So stay in this temple tonight. Imagine that you are those billows. You are no longer a wrestler who is afraid. You are those huge waves sweeping everything before them, swallowing all in their path. Do this, and you will be the greatest wrestler in the land. The teacher retired. Onami sat in meditation, trying to imagine himself as waves. He thought of many different things. Then gradually he turned more and more to the feeling of the waves. As the night advanced, the waves became larger and larger. They swept away the flowers in their vases. Even the Buddha in the shrine was inundated. Before dawn, the temple was nothing but the ebb and flow of an immense sea. In the morning, the teacher found Onami meditating, a faint smile on his face. He patted the wrestler's shoulder. Now nothing can disturb you, he said. You are those waves. You will sweep everything before you. The same day, Onami entered the wrestling contests and won. After that, no one in Japan was able to defeat him. Ryokan, a Zen master, lived the simplest kind of life in a little hut at the foot of a mountain. One evening, a thief visited the hut, only to discover there was nothing in it to steal. Ryokan returned and caught him. You may have come a long way to visit me, he told the prowler, and you should not return empty-handed. Please take my clothes as a gift. The thief was bewildered. He took the clothes and slunk away. Ryokan sat naked watching the moon. Poor fellow, he mused. I wish I could give him this beautiful moon. The Zen master Hoshin lived in China many years. Then he returned to the northeastern part of Japan where he taught his disciples. When he was getting very old, he told them a story he had heard in China. This is the story. One year, on the 25th of December, Tokufu, who was very old, said to his disciples, I'm not going to be alive next year, so you fellows should treat me well this year.
Play now!
Here. The pupils thought he was joking, but since he was a great-hearted teacher, each of them in turn treated him to a feast on succeeding days of the departing year. On the eve of the new year, Tokufu concluded, "You have been good to me. I shall leave you tomorrow afternoon when the snow has stopped." The disciples laughed, thinking he was aging and talking nonsense since the night was clear and without snow. But at midnight, snow began to fall, and the next day they did not find their teacher about. They went to the meditation hall. There he had passed on. Hoshin, who related this story, told his disciples, "It is not necessary for a Zen master to predict his passing, but if he really wishes to do so, he can." "Can you?" someone asked. "Yes," answered Hoshin. "I will show you what I can do 7 days from now." None of the disciples believed him, and most of them had even forgotten the conversation when Hoshin called them together. "7 days ago," he remarked, "I said I was going to leave you. It is customary to write a farewell poem, but I am neither a poet nor calligrapher. Let one of you inscribe my last words." His followers thought he was joking, but one of them started to write. "Are you ready?" Hoshin asked. "Yes, sir," replied the writer. Then Hoshin dictated, "I came from brilliancy and return to brilliancy. What is this?" The poem was 1 line short of the customary 4, so the disciple said, "Master, we are 1 line short." Hoshin, with the roar of a conquering lion, shouted, "Ka!" and was gone. The exquisite Shunkei, whose other name was Suzu, was compelled to marry against her wishes when she was quite young. Later, after this marriage had ended, she attended a university where she studied philosophy. To see Shunkei was to fall in love with her. Moreover, wherever she went, she herself fell in love with others. Love was with her at the university, and afterwards, when philosophy did not satisfy her and she visited a temple to learn about Zen, the Zen students fell in love with her. Shunkei's whole life was saturated with love. At last in Kyoto, she became a real student of Zen. Her brothers in the sub-temple of Kenin praised her sincerity. One of them proved to be a congenial spirit and assisted her in the mastery of Zen. The abbot of Kenin, Mokurai, Silent Thunder, was severe. He kept the precepts himself and expected his priests to do so. In modern Japan, whatever zeal these priests have lost for Buddhism, they seem to have gained for taking wives. Mokurai used to take a broom and chase the women away when he found them in any of his temples, but the more wives he swept out, the more seemed to come back. In this particular temple, the wife of the head priest became jealous of Shunkei's earnestness and beauty. Hearing the students praise her serious Zen made this wife squirm and itch. Finally, she spread a rumor about Shunkei and the young man who was her friend. As a consequence, he was expelled, and Shunkei was removed from the temple. "I may have made the mistake of love," thought Shunkei, "but the priest's wife shall not remain in the temple either if my friend is to be treated so unjustly." Shunkei the same night with a can of kerosene set fire to the 500-year-old temple and burned it to the ground. In the morning she found herself in the hands of the police. A young lawyer became interested in her and endeavored to make her sentence lighter. "Do not help me," she told him. "I might decide to do something else which would only imprison me again." At last a sentence of 7 years was completed, and Shunkei was released from the prison, where the 60-year-old warden also had become enamored of her. But now everyone looked upon her as a jailbird. No one would associate with her. Even the Zen people, who were supposed to believe in enlightenment in this life and with this body, shunned her. Zen, Shunkei found, was one thing, and the followers of Zen quite another. Her relatives would have nothing to do with her. She grew sick, poor, and weak. She met a Shinzu priest who taught her the name of the Buddha of love, and in this Shunkei found some solace and peace of mind. She passed away when she was still exquisitely beautiful and hardly 30 years old. She wrote her own story in a futile endeavor to support herself, and some of it she told to a woman writer, so it reached the Japanese people. Those who rejected Shunke, those who slandered and hated her, now read of her life with tears of remorse. In Tokyo in the Meiji era, there lived two prominent teachers of opposite characteristics. One, Unsho, an instructor in Shingon, kept Buddha's precepts scrupulously. He never drank intoxicants, nor did he eat after 11 o'clock in the morning. The other teacher, Tanzan, a professor of philosophy at the Imperial University, never observed the precepts. When he felt like eating, he ate, and when he felt like sleeping in the daytime, he slept. One day Unsho visited Tanzan, who was drinking wine at the time, not even a drop of which is supposed to touch the tongue of a Buddhist. "Hello, brother," Tanzan greeted him. "Won't you have a drink?" "I never drink," exclaimed Unsho solemnly. "For one who does not drink is not even human," said Tanzan. "Do you mean to call me inhuman just because I do not indulge in intoxicating liquids?" exclaimed Unsho in anger. "Then if I am not human, what am I?" "A Buddha," answered Tanzan. Shoun became a teacher of Soto Zen. When he was still a student, his father passed away, leaving him to care for his old mother. Whenever Shoun went to a meditation hall, he always took his mother with him. Since she accompanied him when he visited monasteries, he could not live with the monks. So he would build a little house and care for her there. He would copy sutras, Buddhist verses, and in this manner receive a few coins for food. When Shoun brought fish for his mother, people would scoff at him, for a monk is not supposed to eat fish. But Shoun did not mind. His mother, however, was hurt to see others laugh at her son. Finally she told Shoun, "I think I will become a nun. I can be a vegetarian too." She did, and they studied together. Shoun was fond of music and was a master of the harp, which his mother also played. On full moon nights they used to play together. One night a young lady passed by their house and heard music. Deeply touched, she invited Shoun to visit her the next evening and play. He accepted the invitation. A few days later he met the young lady on the street and thanked her for her hospitality. Others laughed at him. He had visited the house of a woman of the streets.
"Hey, mister, can I get a copy of the mugshot? Last thing I remember, I forgot to eat dinner, then I started sipping."
Every 5 seconds, someone's identity is stolen. That means since you started this video, another person became a victim. With LifeLock, you don't have to stress. It monitors for threats and alerts you of suspicious activity with expert support if identity theft does happen. Give yourself the peace of mind you deserve. Identity theft protection doesn't get better than this. Get LifeLock today.
One day Shoun left for a distant temple to deliver a lecture. A few months afterwards he returned home to find his mother dead. Friends had not known where to reach him, so the funeral was then in progress. Shoun walked up and hit the coffin with his staff. "Mother, your son has returned," he said. "I'm glad to see you've returned, son," he answered for his mother. "Yes, I'm glad too," Shoun responded. Then he announced to the people about him, "The funeral ceremony is over. You may bury the body." When Shoun was old, he knew his end was approaching. He asked his disciples to gather around him in the morning, telling them he was going to pass on at noon. Burning incense before the picture of his mother and his old teacher, he wrote a poem. "For 56 years, I lived as best I could, making my way in this world. Now the rain has ended. The clouds are clearing. The blue sky has a full moon." His disciples gathered about him, reciting a sutra, and Shoun passed on during the invocation. A university student, while visiting Gasan, asked him, "Have you ever read the Christian Bible?" "No, read it to me," said Gasan. The student opened the Bible and read from St. Matthew. "And why take ye thought for raiment? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. And yet I say unto you that even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. Take therefore no thought for the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself." Gasan said, "Whoever uttered those words I consider an enlightened man." The student continued reading. "Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asketh receiveth, and he that seeketh findeth, and to him that knocketh it shall be opened." Gasan remarked, "That is excellent. Whoever said that is not far from Buddhahood." Buddha told a parable in a sutra. A man traveling across a field encountered a tiger. He fled, the tiger after him. Coming to a precipice, he caught hold of the root of a wild vine and swung himself down over the edge. The tiger sniffed at him from above. Trembling, the man looked down to where, far below, another tiger was waiting to eat him. Only the vine sustained him. Two mice, one white and one black, little by little started to gnaw away the vine. The man saw a luscious strawberry near him. Grasping the vine with one hand, he plucked the strawberry with the other. How sweet it tasted! When one goes to Obaku Temple in Kyoto, he sees carved over the gate the words, "The First Principle." The letters are unusually large, and those who appreciate calligraphy always admire them as being a masterpiece. They were drawn by Kosen 200 years ago. When the master drew them, he did so on paper from which workmen made the larger carving in wood. As Kosen sketched the letters, a bold pupil was with him who had made several gallons of ink for the calligraphy and who never failed to criticize his master's work. "That is not good," he told Kosen after the first effort. "How was that one?" "Poor, worse than before," pronounced the pupil. Kosen patiently wrote one sheet after another until 84 first principles had accumulated, still without the approval of the pupil. Then when the young man stepped outside for a few moments, Kosen thought, "Now is my chance to escape his keen eye," and he wrote hurriedly with a mind free from distraction, "The First Principle." "A masterpiece," pronounced the pupil. Jiun, a Shingon master, was a well-known Sanskrit scholar of the Tokugawa era. When he was young, he used to deliver lectures to his brother's students. His mother heard about this and wrote him a letter. "Son, I do not think you became a devotee of the Buddha because you desired to turn into a walking dictionary for others. There is no end to information and commentation, glory and honor. I wish you would stop this lecture business. Shut yourself up in a little temple in a remote part of the mountain. Devote your time to meditation, and in this way, attain true realization." The master of Kinnin Temple was Mokurai, Silent Thunder. He had a little protege named Toyo, who was only 12 years old. Toyo saw the older disciples visit the master's room each morning and evening to receive instructions in sanzen, or personal guidance, in which they were given koans to stop mind wandering. Toyo wished to do a sanzen also. "Wait a while," said Mokurai. "You're too young." But the child insisted, so the teacher finally consented. In the evening, little Toyo went at the proper time to the threshold of Mokurai's Sanzen room. He struck the gong to announce his presence, bowed respectfully 3 times outside the door, and went to sit before the master in respectful silence. "You can hear the sound of 2 hands when they clap together," said Mokurai. "Now show me the sound of 1 hand." Toyo bowed and went to his room to consider this problem. From his window he could hear the music of the geishas. "Ah, I have it," he proclaimed. The next evening, when his teacher asked him to illustrate the sound of 1 hand, Toyo began to play the music of the geishas. No, said Mokurai, "that will never do. That is not the sound of 1 hand. You've not got it at all." Thinking that such music might interrupt, Toyo moved his abode to a quiet place. He meditated again. What can the sound of 1 hand be? He happened to hear some water dripping. "I have it," imagined Toyo. When he next appeared before his teacher, Toyo imitated dripping water. "What is that?" asked Mokurai. "That is the sound of dripping water, but not the sound of 1 hand. Try again." In vain, Toyo meditated to hear the sound of 1 hand. He heard the sighing of the wind, but the sound was rejected. He heard the cry of an owl. This also was refused. The sound of 1 hand was not the locusts. For more than 10 times, Toyo visited Mokurai with different sounds. All were wrong. For almost a year, he pondered what the sound of 1 hand might be. At last, little Toyo entered true meditation and transcended all sounds. "I could collect no more," he explained later, "so I reached the soundless sound." Toyo had realized the sound of 1 hand.
Every morning, a new canvas awaits. Come, be the artist of your own day with One Weather.
This helps me pay for my bills. Sign up directly on the app. Choose your own hours. Get paid to deliver on your time. There are opportunities in over 7,000 cities. Keep 100% of your tips. Download the DoorDash driver app and get started today.
Soyen Shaku, the first Zen teacher to come to America, said, "My heart burns like fire, but my eyes are as cold as dead ashes." He made the following rules, which he practiced every day of his life. In the morning before dressing, light incense and meditate. Retire at a regular hour. Partake of food at regular intervals. Eat with moderation and never to the point of satisfaction. Receive a guest with the same attitude you have when alone. When alone, maintain the same attitude you have when receiving guests. Watch what you say, and whatever you say, practice it. When an opportunity comes, do not let it pass by, yet always think twice before acting. Do not regret the past, look to the future. Have the fearless attitude of a hero and the loving heart of a child. Upon retiring, sleep as if you had entered your last sleep. Upon awakening, leave your bed behind you instantly, as if you had cast away a pair of old shoes. When Eishun, the Zen nun, was past 60 and about to leave this world, she asked some monks to pile up wood in the yard. Seating herself firmly in the center of the funeral pyre, she had it set fire around the edges. "Oh, nun," shouted one monk, "is it hot in there?" "Such a matter would concern only a stupid person like yourself," answered Eishun. The flames arose and she passed away. A farmer requested a Tendai priest to recite sutras for his wife who had died. After the recitation was over, the farmer asked, "Do you think my wife will gain merit from this?" "Not only your wife, but all sentient beings will benefit from the recitation of sutras," answered the priest. "If you say all sentient beings will benefit," said the farmer, "my wife may be very weak and others will take advantage of her, getting the benefit she should have. So please, recite sutras just for her." The priest explained that it was the desire of a Buddhist to offer blessings and wish merit for every living being. "That is a fine teaching," concluded the farmer, "but please make one exception. I have a neighbor who is rough and mean to me. Just exclude him from all those sentient beings." Suiwo, the disciple of Hakuin, was a good teacher. During one summer seclusion period, a pupil came to him from a southern island of Japan. Suiwo gave him a problem: hear the sound of one hand. The pupil remained 3 years but could not pass this test. One night he came in tears to Suiwo. "I must return south in shame and embarrassment," he said, "for I cannot solve my problem." "Wait 1 week more and meditate constantly," advised Suiwo. Still no enlightenment came to the pupil. "Try for another week," said Suiwo. The pupil obeyed, but in vain. Still another week. Yet this was of no avail. In despair, the student begged to be released, but Suiwo requested another meditation of 5 days. They were without result. Then he said, "Meditate for 3 days longer. Then if you fail to attain enlightenment, you had better kill yourself." On the 2nd day, the pupil was enlightened. Provided he makes and wins an argument about Buddhism with those who live there, any wandering monk can remain in a Zen temple. If he is defeated, he has to move on. In a temple in the northern part of Japan, 2 brother monks were dwelling together. The elder one was learned, but the younger one was stupid and had but one eye. A wandering monk came and asked for lodging, properly challenging them to a debate about the sublime teaching. The elder brother, tired that day from much studying, told the younger one to take his place. "Go and request the dialogue in silence," he cautioned. So the young monk and the stranger went to the shrine and sat down. Shortly afterwards, the traveler rose and went into the elder brother and said, "Your young brother is a wonderful fellow. He defeated me." "Relate the dialogue to me," said the elder one. "Well," explained the traveler, "first I held up one finger, representing Buddha, the enlightened one. So he held up 2 fingers, signifying Buddha and his teaching. I held up 3 fingers, representing Buddha, his teaching, and his followers living the harmonious life. Then he shook his clenched fist in my face, indicating that all 3 come from one realization. Thus he won, and so I have no right to remain here." With this, the traveler left. "Where's that fellow?" asked the younger one, running into his elder brother. "I understand you won the debate." "Won nothing. I'm going to beat him up." "Tell me the subject of the debate," asked the elder one. "Why, the minute he saw me, he held up one finger, insulting me by insinuating that I have only one eye. Since he was a stranger, I thought I would be polite to him, so I held up 2 fingers, congratulating him that he has 2 eyes. Then the impolite wretch held up 3 fingers, suggesting that between us we only have 3 eyes. So I got mad and started to punch him, but he ran out and that ended it." After Bankei had passed away, a blind man who lived near the master's temple told a friend, "Since I'm blind, I cannot watch a person's face, so I must judge his character by the sound of his voice. Ordinarily, when I hear someone congratulate another upon his happiness or success, I also hear a secret tone of envy. When condolence is expressed for the misfortune of another, I hear pleasure and satisfaction, as if the one condoling was really glad there was something left to gain in his own world. In all my experience, however, Bankei's voice was always sincere. Whenever he expressed happiness, I heard nothing but happiness. And whenever he expressed sorrow, sorrow was all I heard. Keichu, the great Zen teacher of the Meiji era, was the head of Tofuku, a cathedral in Kyoto. One day the governor of Kyoto called upon him for the first time. His attendant presented the card of the governor, which read, Kitagaki, Governor of Kyoto. I have no business with such a fellow, said Keichu to his attendant. Tell him to get out of here. The attendant carried the card back with apologies. That was my error, said the governor, and with a pencil he scratched out the words, Governor of Kyoto. Ask your teacher again. Oh, is that Kitagaki? Exclaimed the teacher when he saw the card. I want to see that fellow. When Banzan was walking through a market, he overheard a conversation between a butcher and his customer. Give me the best piece of meat you have, said the customer. Everything in my shop is the best, replied the butcher. You cannot find here any piece of meat that is not the best. At these words, Banzan became enlightened. Mokusen Hiki was living in a temple in the province of Tamba. One of his adherents complained of the stinginess of his wife. Mokusen visited the adherent's wife and showed her his clenched fist before her face. What do you mean by that? Asked the surprised woman. Suppose my fist were always like that. What would you call it? He asked. Deformed, replied the woman. Then he opened his hand flat in her face and asked, suppose it were always like that. What then? Another kind of deformity, said the wife. If you understand that much, finished Mokusen, you are a good wife. Then he left. After his visit, this wife helped her husband to distribute as well as to save. Mokugen was never known to smile until his last day on earth. When his time came to pass away, he said to his faithful ones, You have studied under me for more than 10 years. Show me your real interpretation of Zen. Whoever expresses this most clearly shall be my successor and receive my robe and bowl. Everyone watched Mokugen's severe face, but no one answered. Encho, a disciple who had been with his teacher for a long time, moved near the bedside. He pushed forward the medicine cup a few inches. This was his answer to the command. The teacher's face became even more severe. Is that all you understand? He asked. Encho reached out and moved the cup back again. A beautiful smile broke over the features of Mokugen. You rascal, he told Encho. You have worked with me 10 years and have not yet seen my whole body. Take the robe and bowl. They belong to you.
They're more powerful. So more powerful in the way you're talking, the fact that they have money, finance, Hollywood, is that what you're
Yeah, they have more.
amazing. And how do you think they got that?
I think they got it because they are extremely connected. They're a transnational entity.
This band was considered
Unbelievable.
amazing. Unbelievable. Good. Amazing.
Block Blast Puzzle Games. Play now.
Zen students are with their masters at least 10 years before they presume to teach others. Non-In was visited by Tenno, who, having passed his apprenticeship, had become a teacher. The day happened to be rainy, so Tenno wore wooden clogs and carried an umbrella. After greeting him, Non-In remarked, "I suppose you left your wooden clogs in the vestibule. I want to know if your umbrella is on the right or left side of the clogs." Tenno, confused, had no instant answer. He realized that he was unable to carry his Zen every minute. He became Non-In's pupil, and he studied 6 more years to accomplish his every minute Zen. Subhuti was Buddha's disciple. He was able to understand the potency of emptiness, the viewpoint that nothing exists except in its relationship of subjectivity and objectivity. One day, Subhuti, in a mood of sublime emptiness, was sitting under a tree. Flowers began to fall about him. "We are praising you for your discourse on emptiness," the gods whispered to him. "But I have not spoken of emptiness," said Subhuti. "You have not spoken of emptiness. We have not heard emptiness," responded the gods. "This is the true emptiness." And blossoms showered upon Subhuti as rain. Gisho was ordained as a nun when she was 10 years old. She received training just as the little boys did. When she reached the age of 16, she traveled from one Zen master to another, studying with them all. She remained 3 years with Unzan, 6 years with Kuke, but was unable to obtain a clear vision. At last she went to the master Inzan. Inzan showed her no distinction at all on account of her sex. He scolded her like a thunderstorm. He cuffed her to awaken her inner nature. Gisho remained with Inzan 13 years, and then she found that which she was seeking. In her honor, Inzan wrote a poem. This nun studied 13 years under my guidance. In the evening, she considered the deepest koans. In the morning, she was wrapped in other koans. The Chinese nun Tetsuma surpassed all before her, and since Mujaku, none has been so genuine as this Gisho. Yet there are many more gates for her to pass through. She should receive still more blows from my iron fist. After Gisho was enlightened, she went to the province of Banshu, started her own Zen temple, and taught 200 other nuns until she passed away 1 year in the month of August. The master Soyen Shaku passed from this world when he was 61 years of age. Fulfilling his life's work, he left a great teaching, far richer than that of most Zen masters. His pupils used to sleep in the daytime during midsummer, and while he overlooked this, he himself never wasted a minute. When he was but 12 years old, he was already studying Tendai philosophical speculation. One summer day, the air had been so sultry that little Soyen stretched his legs and went to sleep while his teacher was away. 3 hours passed when, suddenly waking, he heard his master enter, but it was too late. There he lay, sprawled across the doorway. "I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon," his teacher whispered, stepping carefully over Soyen's body, as if it were that of some distinguished guest. After this, Soyen never slept again in the afternoon. Our schoolmaster used to take a nap every afternoon related to a disciple of Soyen Shaku. We children asked him why he did it, and he told us, "I go to dreamland to meet the old sages just as Confucius did." When Confucius slept, he would dream of ancient sages and later tell his followers about them. It was extremely hot one day, so some of us took a nap. Our schoolmaster scolded us. We went to dreamland to meet the ancient sages, the same as Confucius did, we explained. What was the message from those sages, our schoolmaster demanded. One of us replied, we went to dreamland and met the sages and asked them if our schoolmaster came there every afternoon, but they said they had never seen any such fellow. Joshu began the study of Zen when he was 60 years old and continued until he was 80 when he realized Zen. He taught from the age of 80 until he was 120. A student once asked him, if I haven't anything in my mind, what shall I do? Joshu replied, throw it out. But if I haven't anything, how can I throw it out? Continued the questioner. Well, said Joshu, then carry it out. When Mamiya, who later became a well-known preacher, went to a teacher for personal guidance, he was asked to explain the sound of one hand. Mamiya concentrated upon what the sound of one hand might be. You're not working hard enough, his teacher told him. You are too attached to food, wealth, things, and that sound. It would be better if you died. That would solve the problem. The next time Mamiya appeared before his teacher, he was again asked what he had to show regarding the sound of one hand. Mamiya at once fell over as if he were dead. You're dead, all right, observed the teacher. But how about that sound? I haven't solved that yet, replied Mamiya, looking up. Dead men do not speak, said the teacher. Get out. Tosui was a well-known Zen teacher of his time. He had lived in several temples and taught in various provinces. The last temple he visited accumulated so many adherents that Tosui told them he was going to quit the lecture business entirely. He advised them to disperse and to go wherever they desired. After that, no one could find any trace of him. 3 years later, one of his disciples discovered him living with some beggars under a bridge in Kyoto. He at once implored Tosui to teach him. If you can do as I do for even a couple of days, I might, Tosui replied. So the former disciple dressed as a beggar and spent a day with Tosui. The following day, one of the beggars died. Tosui and his pupil carried the body off at midnight and buried it on a mountainside. After that, they returned to their shelter under the bridge. Tosui slept soundly the remainder of the night, but the disciple could not sleep. When morning came, Tosui said, we do not have to beg food today. Our dead friend has left some over there. But the disciple was unable to eat a single bite of it. I've said you could not do as I, concluded Tosui. Get out of here and do not bother me again. When Bankei held his seclusion weeks of meditation, pupils from many parts of Japan came to attend. During one of these gatherings, a pupil was caught stealing. The matter was reported to Bankei with the request that the culprit be expelled. Bankei ignored the case.
Business tech that's bold, fresh, and delicious. Get started at easycater.com.
Later, the pupil was caught in a similar act, and again Bankei disregarded the matter. This angered the other pupils, who drew up a petition asking for the dismissal of the thief, stating that otherwise they would leave in a body. When Bankei had read the petition, he called everyone before him. You are wise brothers, he told them. You know what is right and what is not right. You may go somewhere else to study if you wish. But this poor brother does not even know right from wrong. Who will teach him if I do not? I'm going to keep him here, even if all the rest of you leave. A torrent of tears cleansed the face of the brother who had stolen. All desire to steal had vanished. During the Kamakura period, Shinkan studied Tendai 6 years and then studied Zen 7 years. Then he went to China and contemplated Zen for 13 years more. When he returned to Japan, many desired to interview him and asked obscure questions. But when Shinkan received visitors, which was infrequently, he seldom answered their questions. One day, a 50-year-old student of enlightenment said to Shinkan, "I have studied the Tendai school of thought since I was a little boy, but one thing in it I cannot understand. Tendai claims that even the grass and trees will become enlightened. To me, this seems very strange. Of what use is it to discuss how grass and trees become enlightened?" asked Shinkan. "The question is how you yourself can become so. Did you ever consider that?" "I never thought of it in that way," marveled the old man. "Then go home and think it over," finished Shinkan. The Buddhist nun known as Ryonen was born in 1797. She was a granddaughter of the famous Japanese warrior Shingen. Her poetical genius and alluring beauty were such that at 17 she was serving the empress as one of the ladies of the court. Even at such a youthful age, fame awaited her. The beloved empress died suddenly, and Ryonen's hopeful dreams vanished. She became acutely aware of the impermanency of life in this world.
Tao Te Ching can be translated as the Book of the Imminence of the Way, or the Book of the Way and of how it manifests itself in the world, or simply the Book of the Way. Since it is already well known by its Chinese title, I have let that stand. About Lao Tzu, its author, there's practically nothing to be said. He may have been an older contemporary of Confucius, 551 to 479 BCE, and may have held the position of archive keeper in one of the petty kingdoms of the time. But all the information that has come down to us is highly suspect. Even the meaning of his name is uncertain. The most likely interpretations, the old master, or more picturesquely, the old boy. Like an Iroquois woodsman, he left no traces. All he left us is his book, the classic manual on the art of living, written in a style of gem-like lucidity, radiant with humor and grace, and large-heartedness and deep wisdom, one of the wonders of the world. People usually think of Lao Tzu as a hermit, a dropout from society, dwelling serenely in some mountain hut, unvisited except perhaps by the occasional traveler arriving from a 60s joke to ask, "What is the meaning of life?" But it's clear from his teachings that he deeply cared about society, if society means the welfare of one's fellow human beings. His book is, among other things, a treatise on the art of government, whether of a country or of a child. The misperception may arise from his insistence on wei wu wei, literally doing, not doing, which has been seen as passivity. Nothing could be further from the truth. A good athlete can enter a state of body awareness in which the right stroke or the right movement happens by itself, effortlessly, without any interference of the conscious will. This is a paradigm for non-action, the purest and most effective form of action. The game plays the game. The poem writes the poem. We can't tell the dancer from the dance. Less and less do you need to force things, until finally you arrive at non-action. When nothing is done, nothing is left undone. Nothing is done because the doer has wholeheartedly vanished into the deed. The fuel has been completely transformed into flame. This nothing is in fact everything. It happens when we trust the intelligence of the universe in the same way that an athlete or a dancer trusts the superior intelligence of the body. Hence Lao Tzu's emphasis on softness. Softness means the opposite of rigidity and is synonymous with suppleness, adaptability, endurance. Anyone who has seen a Tai Chi or Aikido master doing not doing will know how powerful this softness is. Lao Tzu's central figure is a man or woman whose life is in perfect harmony with the way things are. This is not an idea, it is a reality. I have seen it. The master has mastered nature, not in the sense of conquering it, but of becoming it. In surrendering to the Tao, in giving up all concepts, judgments, and desires, her mind has grown naturally compassionate. She finds, deep in her own experience, the central truths of the art of living, which are paradoxical only on the surface, that the more truly solitary we are, the more compassionate we can be. The more we let go of what we love, the more present our love becomes. The clearer our insight into what is beyond good and evil, the more we can embody the good. Until finally she is able to say, in all humility, I am the Tao, the truth, the life. The teaching of the Tao Te Ching is moral in the deepest sense, unencumbered by any concept of sin. The master doesn't see evil as a force to resist, but simply as an opaqueness, a state of self-absorption, which is in disharmony with the universal process, so that, as with a dirty window, the light can't shine through. This freedom from moral categories allows him his great compassion for the wicked and the selfish. Thus, the master is available to all people and doesn't reject anyone. He is ready to use all situations and doesn't waste anything. This is called embodying the light. What is a good man but a bad man's teacher? What is a bad man but a good man's job? If you don't understand this, you will get lost, however intelligent you are. It is the great secret. The listener will notice that in the many passages where Lao Tzu describes the master, I've used the pronoun she at least as often as he. The Chinese language doesn't make this kind of distinction. In English, we have to choose. But since we are all potentially the master, since the master is, essentially, us, I felt it would be untrue to present a male archetype, as other versions have, ironically, done. Ironically, because of all the great world religions, the teaching of Lao Tzu is by far the most female. Of course, you should feel free throughout the recording to substitute he for she, or vice versa. As to method, I worked from Paul Karas's literal version, which provides English equivalents, often very quaint ones, alongside each of the Chinese ideograms. I also consulted dozens of translations into English, German, and French. But the most essential preparation for my work was a 14 years long course of Zen training, which brought me face to face with Lao Tzu and his true disciples and heirs, the early Chinese Zen masters. With great poetry, the freest translation is sometimes the most faithful. We must try its effect as an English poem, Dr. Johnson said. That is the way to judge of the merit of a translation. I have often been fairly literal, or as literal as one can be with such a subtle, kaleidoscopic book as the Tao Te Ching. But I have also paraphrased, expanded, contracted, interpreted, worked with the text, played with it, until it became embodied in a language that felt genuine to me. If I haven't always translated Lao Tzu's words, my intention has always been to translate his mind. Describing the indescribable, teaching the unteachable.
Hey, Rondale, are you there? Can you come up on stage real quick? Rondale, are you there? Oh, Rondale left us. Okay.
Pointing the way to the way. What does Lao Tzu think he is doing here? It can't be done. No way. Hence, Po Chu-yi, poet and stand-up comedian, wrote, "He who talks doesn't know, he who knows doesn't talk." That is what Lao Tzu told us in a book of 5,000 words. If he was the one who knew, how could he have been such a blabbermouth? That's the problem with spiritual teachers. They have to be blabbermouths. but their words are, in the traditional Buddhist metaphor, fingers pointing at the moon. If you watch the finger, you can't see the moon. How meticulous the great masters had to be. A monk asked Matsu, "Why do you teach mind is Buddha?" Matsu said,
Like this guy's like he's not that intelligent. Dio doesn't really know what he's talking. I mean, you're like half right.
You guys got your show going on, huh? Who's this toast?
Not now.
Oh, look at this crew. Look at the people on this boat. Abby SeaWorld.
Mr. Kitover, what? Charlie Craig is dead. They shot him, John. They shot him dead.
Yeah, do you think that was some kind of a ritual or something?
John, I was gonna ask you, did you put a hit on this man? Charlie Kirk, I tell you, all the boomers in my life are telling me they love Charlie Kirk. I didn't even know this guy was popular.
I don't know, ceremony and ritual, that's what I say. Ceremony and ritual. Life, you don't...
I think Tyler...
What do you think your funeral will be like? What do you think your funeral is going to be like?
What funeral? I think they're going to cremate me.
Well, I'm just saying, you don't get to see it.
Okay, I think I'll go something like this. Essentially, the news that I'm dead will. I mean, I don't want to be in a position on anybody. Hopefully, hopefully I won't. I hope if I die, I won't cause.
Well, if I get to go to your funeral, I want to read a poem at your funeral. Is there a poem you'd like me to read at your funeral, Diogenes?
Yeah, that's great. Let me actually think about that and.
Think about that.
Abby, I'll just read your last receipt from the grocery store. We'll all laugh at you.
Okay, can I send a message to Nora? Hi, Nora, if you're listening. Hey, kiddo. Got some good political stuff for you. Okay, how's your campaign going, by the way?
Well, I've had a setback. We had somebody commit fraud against the campaign, and they stole $1,300, and now they ghosted us. But they claim, and we saw the photos. No, I don't want to say her name or say anything because she says her mom is very sick. But the thing is, like, why can't she text me? I'm very upset. So we've paid her like $1,300. She's gotten about 1,000 signatures. I hope and pray to God she put the signatures and the petitions in the mail, and she's ghosted me because she's too emotional over her mother, or she just doesn't want to be a part of the campaign. But I hope to God.
All those people, you get played by everybody. Jesus.
Yeah.
So, I said to a campaign manager yesterday that, if she ripped me off, then, divine punishment is, very exacting. And he said everything happens for a reason, and it was meant to be. So all I'm saying is, I would have liked to have spent that money on me. Traveling, staying in hotels, having nice food, getting the signatures myself. So the thing is, I still have the money to continue on, but the morale is what has suffered the most.
You know what? Maybe spend some of that money going out and getting yourself a nice dinner, because the morale is truly the most essential part. Well, there you go. So keep it up. Maybe increase the frequency of the caviar and all that. Okay.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that, in politics, the thing is, the truth is, if you want something done right, you do it yourself. And if you don't know how to do it, you have to learn how to do it. And that's what life's all about.
That's right. And in other news,
and that's especially true for assassinations.
What was that, Eli?
Wolf off screen.
Eli, did you enjoy the reading that I did yesterday? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I didn't ask you a question. You didn't answer it.
What was the question?
I was reading a book yesterday to Eli because he wanted to create a room about brain rot. And I said, well, let me help, add to the brain rot deficiency and add some information. And so he listened, But then he started talking, and then I just hung up the phone.
The funny thing is that I was completely silent, I think, and he, in the middle of reading something, he disappeared.
Yeah, he does that.
Why are people coming in and out? Is this thing glitching or something?
No,
No, people are cowards, and they can't get their dopamine filled the way they want it, so they pop in, they pop out. They have no purpose, no goal, no real information to share. Is that you?
No, I think there's a glitch going on. So, what was the question, Diogenes?
I'm asking about Charlie Kirk's death. Yeah.
Yeah, what about it, John?
I don't have anything to add other than, you know, there are two words you can't say in society, polite society. It's the enough or NF word or FN words. F word, N word, N word, F word.
Okay.
So all I'm trying to say is the individual who shot Charlie Kirk most definitely was a lot like Obama. And Obama is a super F word and a super N word. So that's all I'm trying to say is that super N word, super F word, who says that Donald Trump and Secretary Kennedy are putting out medical misinformation about Tylenol. All I'm trying to say is that he is a super F word and a super N word, and the individual who killed Charlie Kirk is definitely a super F word.
Trump does.
Okay. Thank you so much for that contribution to everything.
And if you are a pregnant female, Buttercup, even though I know you ass probably can't even get pregnant because you're triple vaxxed, all I'm trying to say, Buttercup, is if you pregnant and you haven't created a TikTok or an Instagram reel yet of you taking Tylenol, you should consider it.
Tell me to behave like a ham.
I'm just saying, ladies, taking Tylenol with a fake, put a pillow in your stomach or something. Put a pillow in your stomach, shoot a little reel, and say, I'm taking Tylenol.
Yeah, how come you don't tell him he's on Adderall?
Are you going to
He's
tell
already
us about your new findings?
What was that?
Yeah, Kitover knows the truth. He must have understood it as soon as he saw that Charlie Kirk's killed were legitimate.
Yeah, John, did you know that?
No, what? No, what about that? What about that?
What about that? So think about that.
What about that? Think about what you think about.
Think about that. Think about yourself thinking about that.
Did you know that Charlie Kirk's children aren't his, John?
Charlie Kirk's children are not his children? Did his mama take Tylenol or did his wife take Tylenol?
No, I take Tylenol.
Is this real?
Yeah, it's real.
Wait, how?
Israel?
Go to the internet.
Israel?
Okay.
Israel!
Shut up!
The Mossad impregnated his wife.
How do you speak?
Okay, everybody, my remote handler in Mossad is doing a remote projection right now. Please hold.
Does she have one of those like fertile thingies like?
No, we don't. Obviously, they're not yeah, can you find me a picture of Erica Kirk being pregnant on the internet?
I'll do it right now.
Okay, thank you.
It's all just a show. It's theater. In fact, it's the new motion picture of the 2025s.
How is
The
your-
motion picture event you've been waiting for. Its surface is barren.
How does John know the truth when he wears that pants?
Its true strength hidden.
Because he was consulting.
Its foreboding desert conceals the power to hold space,
Do you think he got money?
to slow time,
Yeah.
to send the mind where the body cannot go. It is the source of the ultimate power.
What is this? What are these pictures, John?
It is the deadly battleground where a young leader will emerge to command an army of 6 million Jewish warriors against the tyrannical force that threatens to enslave the universe. It is the clash for the greatest prize of all, the planet called Clubhouse! Dune, a world beyond your experience, beyond your imagination. The planet called Dune. I'm reading the movie poster inside of my office here for Dune.
Oh, you like Star Wars?
Of course, it's about the Force. Let me ask you something. After you have a big Mediterranean dinner, what is the force of your tuchus the next morning at 8 a.m.?
Thanks, John.
To stop a baby from crying. The monk said, "When the crying has stopped, what then?" Matsu said, "Then I teach, not mind, not Buddha."
So now you just connect with the nature every
The monk
day?
said, "How about someone who isn't attached to either?" Matsu said, "I would tell him, not beings." The monk said, "And what if you met a man unattached to all things? What would you tell him?" Matsu said, "I would just let him experience the great Tao." In fact, the truth is right before our eyes, right under our noses. So simple that every child understands it. And yet, as Bankei said, the farther you enter into it, the deeper it is. Where is the way to the way? What a question. Still, for complicated minds, drastic measures are needed. Lao Tzu's book was written as a response out of grandmotherly kindness. According to the oldest biography, Lao Tzu lived for a long time in the country of Chu, but seeing its decline, he departed. When he reached the frontier, the guard said, "Since you are going away, sir, could you write a book to teach me the art of living?" Thereupon, Lao Tzu wrote his book about the Tao and departed. This is legend, but it is an accurate description of the way in which true teaching happens. He who knows doesn't talk, but words are no hindrance for him. He uses them as he would use gardening tools. When someone asks, he answers. Tao De Jing. 1. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The unnameable is the eternally real. Naming is the origin of all particular things. Free from desire, you realize the mystery. Caught in desire, you see only the manifestations. Yet mystery and manifestations arise from the same source. This source is called darkness. Darkness within darkness. The gateway to all understanding. 2. When people see some things as beautiful, other things become ugly. When people see some things as good, other things become bad. Being and non-being create each other. Difficult and easy support each other. Long and short define each other. High and low depend on each other. Before and after follow each other. Therefore, the master acts without doing anything
The basic question you have to ask.
and teaches without saying anything. Things arise, and she lets them come. Things disappear, and she lets them go. She has, but doesn't possess, acts, but doesn't expect. When her work is done, she forgets it. That is why it lasts forever. 3. If you overesteem great men, people become powerless. If you overvalue possessions, people begin to steal. The master leads by emptying people's minds and filling their cores, by weakening their ambition and toughening their resolve. He helps people lose everything they know, everything they desire, and creates confusion in those who think that they know. Practice not doing, and everything will fall into place. 4. The Tao is like a well, used but never used up. It is like the eternal void, filled with infinite possibilities. It is hidden but always present. I don't know who gave birth to it. It is older than God. 5. The Tao doesn't take sides. It gives birth to both good and evil. The Master doesn't take sides. She welcomes both saints and sinners. The Tao is like a bellows. It is empty yet infinitely capable. The more you use it, the more it produces. The more you talk of it, the less you understand. Hold on to the center. 6. The Tao is called the Great Mother. Empty, yet inexhaustible, it gives birth to infinite worlds. It is always present within you. You can use it any way you want. 7. The Tao is infinite, eternal. Why is it eternal? It was never born, thus it can never die. Why is it infinite? It has no desires for itself, thus it is present for all beings. The Master stays behind. That is why she is ahead. She is detached from all things. That is why she is one with them. Because she has let go of herself, she is perfectly fulfilled. 8. The Supreme Good is like water, which nourishes all things without trying to. It is content with the low places that people disdain. Thus, it is like the Tao. In dwelling, live close to the ground. In thinking, keep to the simple. In conflict, be fair and generous. In governing, don't try to control. In work, do what you enjoy. In family life, be completely present. When you are content to be simply yourself and don't compare or compete, everybody will respect you. 9. Fill your bowl to the brim, and it will spill. Keep sharpening your knife, and it will blunt. Chase after money and security, and your heart will never unclench. Care about people's approval, and you will be their prisoner. Do your work, then step back. The only path to serenity. 10. Can you coax your mind from its wandering and keep to the original oneness? Can you let your body become supple as a newborn child's? Can you cleanse your inner vision until you see nothing but the light? Can you love people and lead them without imposing your will? Can you deal with the most vital matters by letting events take their course? Can you step back from your own mind and thus understand all things? Giving birth and nourishing. Having without possessing. Acting with no expectations. Leading and not trying to control. This is the supreme virtue. 11. We join spokes together in a wheel, but it is the center hole that makes the wagon move.
All right, Rondell, welcome to public meditation.
But it is the emptiness inside that holds what it...
Yeah.
What's your name again, Rondell?
Rondell.
No, your real name.
All communication is hypnosis.
You don't want to say it, huh?
I'm focused.
I remember what your name is, actually. It's not Michael, is it?
No.
It starts with a...
It starts with an A. But are we doing a meditation today to relax?
Yeah, we're going to film some content here.
All right, world premiere 2025. Let's go.
Okay, this is a meditation. So take the deepest breath of the day. Hold it for 10 seconds. Okay, take the second deepest breath of the day. Hold it for 10. Okay, Rondale, aka guy that starts with the letter A. Go to my new room where we will read the Tao Te Ching on a... Oh wait, replays are on in a public room? Holy shit. Do you have 60 seconds for Tanya? Okay, this is Tao book. Okay, this is meditation by John. Go to the next live stream. We're going to read the Tao for about 30 minutes to an hour, and we're going to create a bunch of clips here on YouTube.